Hey everybody, I have got AP in the house. Alaska Prepper's here, and I'm so grateful. Before we get going, I'm gonna tell you something. This guy is the real deal. We resonate right off the bat. We have great phone calls, and I'm telling you, if you're not following the Alaska Prepper, you should be. How are you doing, Rudy?
Hey, good, Chris. How you doing, man? Thank you for inviting me over today. A little early here today, but I've got my coffee and I'm ready to go.
I would be drinking coffee. This is the first morning in a long time I hadn't drank coffee, but I'm going to fast today till about 3 p.m. and coffee might give me too much cortisol response, give you that fight or flight hormone. I don't know if you've ever drank too much coffee. I usually do every morning.
I'm usually a 1 to 2 cup a day guy, and that's it.
Oh, yeah. Yeah.
But every single morning I have at least 1 cup.
Yeah, well, that's cool. Well, we were talking a little bit earlier, and I told you I was going to get your take on something. And this story came out, I believe, yesterday off of Bloomberg. And I'm just going to read you some of the highlights.
All right.
43% Americans say a civil war is at least somewhat likely in the next 10 years. Now, let me set the stage. Before we get going, I think this is an awful idea. So if you're going to click off the video early, just know that this is not good for anybody. But What happened was they surveyed 1,500 people, and 43% of them said 2 in 5 Americans say U.S. Civil War is at least somewhat likely in the next decade. And this is a quote from the Polar, I guess. Polarization right now is at the highest level in decades, if not going all the way back to Civil War. The survey conducted among 1,500 U.S. adults also found that 2/3 of Americans, 66%, believe political divisions have gotten worse since the beginning of 2021. Just talk of civil war is terrifying. But
yes,
what's your take on that?
Well, man, I could talk about this for an hour, man, but I'll try to keep it down. So, first of all, anyone that wants to go to war, in my opinion, has probably never seen war, because it's not. When you watch, let's talk about Private Ryan, right? Have you watched that movie?
Yes, sir.
Saving Private Ryan. Mm-hmm. All right. So this is my take on that. When you watch that movie as a veteran who has actually seen war, when you see it, you're like, man, that is terrible. I mean, terrible, and it makes you sick to your stomach. But when you watch it as someone who's never really seen that kind of stuff with your own eyes, never smelt it, never touched it, what you see is not the same thing that someone who's been through it sees. What you see is the romanticized part of what movies show war to be, which is when these kids watch those movies, they don't place themselves in the place of the soldiers that are losing their lives, that are being amputated. They place themselves in the place of Private Ryan. I'm the one that makes it home. That's how they think of it. Oh yeah, look at this, is really cool. Why? Because they watch all these, they play all these video games where they never get hurt unless they sprain their thumb. And they have that Superman mentality where I'm never gonna get hurt. Why? Because they're young and they're full of vigor. And they place themselves in the place of Private Ryan, meaning that I'm gonna make it home until they don't. All right. So any kind of a war whatsoever, war brings nothing but sorrow, period. It brings nothing but sorrow. And that's the 100% fact. Now, as far as a civil war in the United States of America, because it's no longer these United States of America, on paper it is, meaning it's no longer a republic. It's the United States of America, i.e. a corporation. So as far as a civil war in the United States of America, I believe it would be very difficult to do, because in the Civil War of 1865 or prior to that, it was a linear war, meaning that there was a line. There was a line drawn, and if you're over here, you're the enemy to us. And if you're over here, you're the enemy to us, right? So there was a linear line there that you didn't cross, that here's the enemy, you know where enemy lines are. Now, within the states are so divided as the people are, that it would be very messy. And I'm not sure how it would be how they could logistically handle running a civil war, because every war is going to have a leader somewhere, a command center. I'm not sure how that would work out. So I don't really want to talk about war too much, but I want to tell people my opinion as to why it is that 43% of Americans say there may be a civil war. It's because the United States of America is no longer a republic. The function of a republic, of a constitutional republic government, all right, is to protect the freedoms and the liberties of the people they serve. That is their function, meaning that if people have grievances with each other, they take it up to the court, and the court determine, i.e. by the Constitution of the United States of America, whether you stepped on my toes or not. But when the government gets involved, and they get involved in everything, you see, a democracy, I know I'm all over the place here, but a democracy, in my opinion, is one of the worst forms of government, because the 51% can tell the other 49% how they're going to live their lives. And whether it's legal or lawful, the government no longer cares, because people don't understand that. Well, not everyone, but a lot of people don't understand that there's a difference between legal and lawful. For example, this is legal money, or this is legal fiat currency, right? It's legal tender, but is it lawful money? No, it's not. According to the Constitution, this is not lawful money. We've gotten away from the rule of law and instead now follow the rule of men. So if the government is made to go back to what it's supposed to be, we would be better off. Even if we don't agree with each other, we would be better off. But that's never going to happen until we have that major crash, or until we have some kind of a revolution or civil war, as you know they're implying there. I think that if we're not going to change our form of governance, that probably in the future what we will see is like a what's that word? A balkanization of the United States, where states go their own way. Maybe there's two separate parts of the United States. In all honesty, that may be better than a civil war, because a civil war, man, I mean, just look at the percentage of Americans that lost their lives during the Civil War in 1865. There's a lot more people now. Weapons are a lot more advanced. There's a lot of veterans that know a lot of things, you know, that they learned while they were in the military. The loss of life would be so much greater than what it was back there on a percentage basis, in my opinion. So I know that the country is divided, but the reason why I like to spread the message of preparedness is because, in my opinion, preparedness equals freedom. Preparedness preserves your sovereignty against the government during times where the government wants to take advantage of you because you don't have what you need in order to continue your standard of living, in order to eat, in order to drink, in order to provide yourself with electricity, provide yourself with medical care and or self-defense as well, right? So that's what preparedness is. It equals freedom. It equals you being able to preserve your sovereignty during those times where you would otherwise give up your sovereignty for a loaf of bread. That's why I spread the message of preparedness, because to me, it equals freedom. And I also spread the message of freedom by being critical of the government. You know, and I know I might take over your show here. Let me tell you a quick joke.
That's
right,
good.
Chris?
Take over, man.
I read one of my comments during my last live stream. Someone left a comment on there, and I forgot who it was, but he said, if AP was Indian, his Indian name would be Longwind. And I just thought that was hilarious. And I was like, well, what am I supposed to do? I'm doing videos. I'm supposed to talk, but I just thought that was hilarious.
That's perfect.
But yeah, man, that's where I stand. I mean, I know we don't all agree with each other, and we're not supposed to. Could you imagine, Chris, how boring it would be if you and I agreed on every single thing? How boring life would be.
I say that a lot. You know, what's the fun in having friends you agree with all the time? but we also have to be able to agree to disagree.
Yeah, absolutely. Yes.
I mean, everybody sees things differently, and you got to, and every man I meet is my authority in some way. So it's really important to hear that person out, even if you disagree with them.
Absolutely.
It takes me back to, and part of that story was how far polarized. Well, there's polar opposites now. And case in point was I was in Denver at a meetup. Our Uber driver picked us up. He had 3 masks on, made me pour my coffee out, wouldn't even let me get in the car with it because he did not want me to pull my mask down to take a sip. He griped at my wife the whole time she was in there because her mask would come down a little bit on her face. And the conversation went about like you thought it would go. And he was driving 80 miles an hour down the road recklessly, just, really putting us in danger. And we just could not agree to disagree. And finally, I just said, I'm not going to talk anymore. You got your hands on the wheel and you're driving, crazy. Incredible. And that's kind of what we are polarized now. And going back to Saving Private Ryan and the people that put themselves in the glory seat of every movie, and we're all guilty of it, I would imagine. I want to be John Wayne, in the movies.
It's romanticized, and
yeah.
In my opinion, it's somewhat propagandizes kids into thinking that, hey, I want to do this, when in fact, man, they really don't. They just don't know it.
I can't remember who said it, and it bothers me when I do this, but death is a mere rumor to the young. So like you said, they haven't had a chance to serve and see those things. I haven't either, but I know enough about it to know I don't want any part of it.
Nope.
And I hope it never ever comes here. But that's,
I am sometimes people call me unpatriotic because I don't recommend that people join the military. Not nowadays, right? I understand that we need good people everywhere. We need good people in the military. Why? Because those good people, maybe that 20, 30, 40%, whatever it may be, of real patriots who actually read the Constitution before they swore an oath to it. We need good people in those positions. But when someone asks me on a personal level, should I join the military? I'm like, no, you can do much better out here on your own if you work hard. And the reason is because it's been politicized. In the military, when you're downrange, and that IED goes off, I guarantee you're not going to care what the heck political party your buddy's in that's trying to dig you out of a hole. You're not going to care about that. You're not going to care what color they are, what ethnicity they are, what religion they are. You're not even going to care if they love another man. All you're going to care of is, are you there on my right and are you there on my left, covering me just like I'm there on your right and his left covering him. That's all they're going to care about. But now it's been politicized. Now it's been weakened. Now in the world, we are seen as a joke. Whereas in the past, we were the mightiest military in the world. We may still be technologically wise, but in my opinion, we are not policy-wise the strongest military in the world. And and having some kind of a civil war or conflict within our own borders, that will weaken us greatly and put us in danger of a real foreign invasion.
I think you're absolutely right. And I'm gonna leave it there. I'm gonna stop this video because this one's getting kind of long. But maybe we'll talk about color in just a minute.
Yeah.
Fox
let me
News
say one last thing, Chris. Let me say one last thing before we finish off this segment here or this video. I understand that some people think that it's not patriotic to criticize your government. But ladies and gentlemen, let me tell you this. This comes from the heart. I'm an immigrant to this country and I love this country. But I love this country because of my countrymen, not because of the government. And unlike I was taught in school that your biggest patriotic duty is to vote, in my opinion, my biggest patriotic duty, as well as that of every American citizen, is to be critical of their government, to keep their government in check. Because Other than that, how in the world are we supposed to preserve our freedoms? You look at every single government that has ever existed, and they usually conclude in the government growing so big and powerful where the people are oppressed. And can you not see that happening now? Can you not see that happening around the world with other governments as well? Do you really want it to happen here? And the question you have to ask yourself is, do you want your children to live free because you had too much cowardice in your heart to actually criticize your government? So when I criticize my government, I'm not doing it out of spite. I'm doing it out of love for my country and out of love for my children, hoping that they will have a better future when I leave this physical earth. And I'll leave it at that.
Yeah, and that's a great way to leave it. I'll add one thing, and pay attention to who is in the government. They're absolute sociopaths. The people that are drawn into those positions, they have an insatiable love for power, and you have to kind of stand up and say, hey, you're supposed to be working for me. Yep. You're not, the cart is before the horse now. Yep. So
hey, Chris, thanks. Have you heard no, I'm sorry, man.
No, look, go ahead, let's keep going.
Whoever's watching this from the Alaska Prepper community, they already know. They already know me. Longman. But have you ever heard the quote from Ayn Rand from Atlas Shrugged?
Oh, which one?
You're gonna love this quote. I love saying it because it's true. And this is a quote from Ayn Rand, and it goes like this: when the government passes laws to protect itself from the people, instead of passing laws to protect the people from government, society is doomed. And just look at what's going on now and what's been going on for the last several decades. You may not know this little fact or this little trivia, but in the United States, local, state, and federal laws exceed 300,000. Why do you think there's 300,000 laws passed by government? Because it's not to protect you.
No.
It's to protect them from you.
They're going to tell you it's for your safety, though.
Oh, yeah, of course, it's for your safety.
It's all for your safety.
I'm done. I'm zipping it.
Thanks for coming on, brother. Hey, and everybody that's watching, hit the like, subscribe, and ring the bell. Check out AP, and have an awesome, awesome day. Later.